All right, hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing the One Ring Second Edition tonight. We are continuing our Waking of Angmar campaign. We were just remarking on how old I am, as I made like four different references in the pre-Zoom chat, and no one picked up on them. So, and then Steven made me sing Backstreet Boys to him, so there's that too.
Highlight of my day.
My daily ritual.
But I am genuinely glad to be here and happy to be playing some One Ring with some of my favorite people. And I'm not going to do it. I almost did it.
End of sentence
back.
right there.
I
Favorite
ended
people.
the sentence.
Jeff, what would you have kept?
The sentence.
What would you have said?
I don't
Come
know.
on.
I don't know. The moment is past. Oh goodness! I already had Long leave the Zoom chat once in a rage. I can't possibly do it again. And when Long's angry, it is not a pretty sight. Like, stuff gets broken. That's his fourth webcam today. He's already broke so many. Okay, so I gave you all homework last like a week or two ago to watch Rings of Power. How far along are we? Because last week no one had watched any but Melissa and I. So where's everybody at?
Did you give us homework to stay up to date with it?
I mean, it's 3 episodes into the season. It's really not that hard at this point. Let's go.
I'm at 2 out of 3. I'm a week behind.
Okay.
That's not bad.
That's a 66%. It's a D. Good to go. Ashley, Long, where you at?
EP1. I just finished.
Yay! You
I
started.
don't believe you. I'm gonna quiz her. You ready? Let's quiz.
I will fail all quizzes.
Let's do a little formative assessment.
You just
See
put me on the spot in public.
Let's do some formative assessment.
All information's gone.
It's
Okay.
gone. It was in the
All right.
mind, and then it's disappeared.
Ashley, what color is Galadriel's hair?
You can't even.
She has no hair. She's just walking around bald.
We're all bald.
Oh, what about you, Long? How far along are you?
No, I haven't done homework for like 5 years.
Yeah, that's I appreciate the honesty. I always get students like that who are just like, I just didn't do the work. And I'm like, you know what? Thank you. Oh, you're going to fail. But I appreciate your honesty. And we get along, so great. Hey, Eric, how's it going? Yes, last session was extraordinarily fun. I was actually very, very happy. I even wrote them a message on like Monday or something like that saying how great it was. No one really
Very
responded
sweet.
to it. I was expecting I was going to get like more of a love fest from everybody, and everyone just kind of ignored it. So it really kind of started off the week that just went colossally worse as the week went on. So
It would have had more meaning if like Ashley or Melissa said it. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know if that's true, but okay. Okay.
That's a take. That is a take.
But you know what? I think you all should watch Rings. It's been very fun. I know it's taken the internet by storm, and there's disagreements.
very
There's apparently
topical.
some disagreements about the.
Yeah.
I am enjoying it, so I'm very nice. Oh, and also, Eric, Ashley and I didn't plan this, but we're both wearing our North Foundry
twinsies.
shirts today. Totally.
Nice.
Totally by accident. But there, it's great. Okay. I think that's enough wasting of time. Shall we go ahead and introduce characters, get going, etc. So Long, why don't you tell us about your dwarf character?
Yes, I'm playing Floy. My calling is a treasure hunter. Yes, I'm playing Floy.
got dragon
calling
path
is a
sickness.
treasure hunter for my shadow path. And I've been training my athletics a bit. My first time was running on land. Second time was water. Next time it's probably gonna be air, so I'll be proficient everywhere.
Okay. we're playing in Lord of the Rings like Long's playing Avatar. it's just
Mastering
just
the 4 elements.
It's just totally different. See, like we say Avatar now, but when I hear the elemental thing, the first thing I go to is Captain Planet, but I know that reference is going to fall on deaf ears. So
I did watch Captain Planet as a kid. I'm in on that one.
Did you watch the Don Cheadle Captain Planet?
Oh, that's hilarious. I love that.
Oh,
yeah.
God, that makes me tear up. It's so funny. Oh, Don Cheadle. Think we can get him on? No. Next up, we've got Ashley. Ashley, tell us about Gilly Kettlegrass.
I am Gilly Kettlegrass, and I'm our Bree-blood hobbit. My shadow path is Lure of Secrets, which we're maybe approaching something. I have 3 shadow scars, which I think Irenial and I are tied, but
Sounds right.
I'll
Yep.
get there eventually. Having a shadow.
So shadow scars, just to sort of revisit those. So whenever whenever you kind of like reset, at some point you start resetting your shadow score and stuff. Like those don't reset. Like you're constantly starting. Like even if you like
I start at 3.
like the lowest Gilly can ever get right now is at 3, which means she gets closer. She's like accelerating towards her kind of shadow breaking point or something like that every time.
Yep.
The only time you can get rid of a shadow scar is during Yule. We've had one Yule. We're halfway through year 2. So, and we're going on a long journey here probably. So that means there's a long time.
Yep.
But yeah, I think soon we're gonna have a Hobbit ring wraith is what's gonna happen. It's gonna be great.
I will
ride
be the new
around,
big bad.
ride around on a donkey somewhere and just chasing after people. It's gonna be awesome. Oh my god!
You guys go to Karn Doom and I'm on the ice drake. Like fuck you guys.
That'd be great. All right, bottom row. We've got Melissa. Melissa, tell us about Irenial.
So Irenial is our Ranger of the North champion. She spent some time during our downtime working on her bow skills. So kind of doubled up in that area. So she now has she's got 3 pips in bows. So I'll be better when I am kind of at range a bit. And now both of my weapons are keen. So both my short sword and my bow are now keen.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay, so don't get into combat. Just keep pounding you guys with shadow points and sorcery. Got it. Until you turn on each other and then you use your keen weapons on each other. That's what's going to happen. Okay. And then finally, we have the artist formerly known as Erebon. We have Sorendir.
Yes, I am Sorendir, child of Eru, ex-exile of Linden, warden of Eriador, drinker of water, giver of gold. My next job will be to find a herald for me to follow around and say those titles, so I don't have to do it myself. I'm starting to seem a little arrogant when I give all my titles on my own. Starting to. Sorendir, formerly known as Erebon, didn't do much during his downtime. Everyone else was training and things like that. He did some shopping. He got himself a nice suit of armor. And called it a day. He was just happy for some new threads.
That is true. Yes, that's exactly true. You were useless. Everyone else had very interesting things to do, and you ruined it basically. See, I don't even feel good saying those things anymore. I'm getting soft. All right. All right. So let's dive in then, shall we? Okay. So you spent the last few weeks recuperating in Forland. During that time, as we sort of just mentioned, we did some downtime, did a fellowship phase last time, which we always extend and make it to this big old thing because it's fun. Irenial, as she was already mentioning, is working on her archery. Got a new bow, or at least an improved bow, that kind of thing. Floy was doing a Karate Kid montage, learning various forms out on the beach, getting his balance back, all that kind of thing. Gilly, I think you were working with one of the medics. Yeah, the healing woman in town, and then Sorendir went shopping. Yep. Eventually, Amdarim, who's one of the sort of not the leader necessarily, but you can tell is the husband of the Lady of Forlon, but he doesn't seem to have taken like a primary leadership role, but has been kind of an escort for you all throughout your time here in Forlon. He brought you all to a quiet grove outside the city to the west, overlooking the sea, where Ortolos was meditating. And there she kind of reluctantly asked you all to undertake a fairly dangerous quest. And she told you a story, and she started to reveal little bits and pieces about her and how during the war with Angmar, she was tasked, and many of the elves in Forland were tasked with going to as the war was won and the Angmar forces were getting pushed further and further back, she was tasked to go to a place called Othrangul, which was some sort of hidden fortress in the mountains of Angmar, far to the north. And it was rumored to be a source of dark sorcery. And the strange thing was that she and many of the other elves who have been suffering this sort of this fogginess of memory, these trance-like moments where they're like shifting between dreams and memory and in the waking hour, and like people are kind of losing themselves somewhat. She has memory of that, but she doesn't necessarily have memory of what actually transpired there. And with you all bringing news that Angmar is once more awakening, Carndum fires are lit there, she was wondering if there is something connecting that in what has been recently befalling the elves of Forlond, who were veterans of the Angmar War. So later, while you all were kind of preparing to take your leave, you visited Merthel, who is an elvish sculptor of some renown, but her work lately has been unsettling her fellow elves. And I think everyone but Ariniel was there, and you saw all these different creatures depicted in her sculpting, whereas most of the artwork that you see around Forlond has been of, elves of renown or other figures of significance, or just of the natural beauty of the oceans and the shore. But hers were alarming and dark and unsettled. They were monstrous in some ways. And you even saw things like the nameless thing that you encountered in the Rudour Bog. You saw the doom of Nenuyal. You saw this strange bear with kind of like a human-like face. You saw scales of something like a dragon or a drake. And she was extraordinarily disoriented and obsessed, but had some sort of sad resignation. And yet you all kind of retreated. And we're going to pick up, I guess, after you all did some research, figured out what you're going to do. And I'm just kind of curious as I hit buttons to start music. Have you all decided to take up the Lady of Forlond's offer or request to travel to the mountains of Angmar to find Othrengul?
I was ready for it.
Yeah, let's put you all. We'll say scene opens up in your quarters as you all are packing and getting ready to leave.
And so Ariniel is going to be showing off her new cloak that she got, because while everyone else was observing all of the different statues and whatnot, she was procuring a new cloak for herself. So that's what she's going to be showing off.
Wait, you just spent your downtime shopping?
I did. I spent part of my downtime shopping. I think this is.
If you're showing off a cloak, then Sorendir would definitely be showing off a new leather corselet as well.
That is fine elven craftsmanship there.
Your cloak indeed is fine as well. Hopefully this time it will be a little more flame-proof.
I do not think I will lend you this cloak in the future.
Sorendir will just have the slightest little curve of a smile.
Lily, meanwhile, she packed her stuff. She's ready to go, but she committed most of those statues, or a few of them, to memory. But she's actually spending the time now trying to draw them out while you guys are finishing packing and stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Easy enough to do. Okay. So as you all kind of pack up and you get ready, and this doesn't necessarily have to be over the course of an hour. It's just to be a day or two of you all kind of saying your goodbyes, traveling around the city. Maybe Sorendir, you're kind of taking it in again for the first time in a while, and you're eventually going to take your leave. Amdarim kind of fetches you and escorts you, and you come to the eastern gates of Forlond. And when you look around, this is the same gates you went out with during the rainstorm to try to help Balavan, but you didn't really have the light with which to see its beauty. And you look around and you can see that inside these gates there is a kind of this beautiful weaving tree with very kind of light blossoming kind of flowers that are amidst the brush, and you see that's growing behind this statue of this powerful looking figure that seems to be half wave, half man, as if the two were merged, and this sharp trident piercing up through the water. Sorendir might have some semblance of who this figure might be in reference to, but the rest of you, maybe it's not necessarily there, but it's nonetheless kind of this impressive looking sight that in this morning where the sun is coming up to the east and if you remember, Forlond is kind of at the sort of the nexus of where the River Gellion splits and careens over these granite cliffs into the Gulf. And so you do have this kind of easternly view somewhat, and it's free of the Blue Mountains. Like, you can kind of see for a long stretch, and the morning itself is clear and warm. It's summer. And you see that it is not just Amdarim who's there waiting for you all, but several others. Lady of Forlond herself is there amongst some of the other heads of the city. A few of the craftsmen that you've engaged with. Arinial, you see the woman with whom you've trained for your archery skills. You see Mayerthel, the sculptor, who you can tell is looking worse for wear. Sorendir, you see Balavan as well. And as you all approach, you can see the Lady of Forlond. She kind of raises her hand, this sort of graceful, simple, and anybody who would have been kind of talking a bit here and there, everyone kind of comes to quiet. She says, we bid these travelers safe journey. While here, they have become friends of Forlond. They have aided our own in battle. They have promised to do deeds on our behalf in the wider world. We will not let them go empty-handed. You see, she kind of looks over, and somebody brings up, this other elf, probably someone you've never met before, brings up what looks like this beautifully crafted chest and opens it up. And then you see, one by one, like, she kind of looks over. And Arinial, what do you go? Arinial, daughter of... I'm not sure if you've ever really told me.
Oh.
Okay, don't worry
sorry.
about it. It's fine. Arinial, she says, Ranger of the North, bloodline
Daughter of Moriel.
of the Duodane, daughter of Moriel. And you see, as she reaches in, she pulls out, despite the fact that you bought this cloak, or you acquire this cloak, she pulls out a far more exquisite cloak. In the sense that it's not grandiose in color, but it has essentially earth in color, like this greenish brown. Like, you can see it sort of tends to blend and fade. And as she holds it open, she's like kind of waiting for you to step up so she can kind of clasp it around your neck.
And Ariniel was just very taken aback, not used to kind of anything like this, but she'll kind of remove the hood of the previous cloak and treat it very nicely in her kind of folding up of it, and she sort of will look over to Sorendir with kind of the cloak that she has, sort of like not sure what to do with. She's certainly someone that's never had two cloaks at the same time.
Yeah, I'll see the look, and I'll come take the first cloak off your hands so that I can have two cloaks. That's fine.
And she'll just sort of give you a look of appreciation that you kind of read what she was trying to convey, and she'll kind of stoop a little and walk towards her slowly.
As you see her, like, from behind, she like kind of moves the cloak around your neck and she clasps it, but she holds and lingers like the clasp itself in front of your face for a moment. And you can see that it's not the same clasp that the cloak that you wear, this sort of emblem that is kind of part wave, part symbol of Forlond. Instead, you see a star. And she says to you, as she's kind of clasping it on, the silver star is said to represent Elendamir, the star of Elendil, emblem of Arnor, the Northern Kingdom, and the honorable ancestors of our new friend, Auriniu. May the star ever lead you when all other paths are lost. And she tucks the star, and so a couple of the points kind of lock you in the loop, and you feel it just suddenly rest onto your shoulders. It's thick, but at the same time you don't feel like overly warm. You feel like this gust of wind, a few like flecks of the leaves from the tree above kind of fall down and rest in your hair and kind of stick to the cloak itself.
My lady, I am honored with this, and this will keep me through the many trials that we have ahead. Thank you again for your kindness.
And then she kind of motions, Floy, of the calls of Gladrock, elf friend, step forward.
Look a bit surprised as I step forward. Wasn't expecting anything.
And so she reaches in and she pulls out what looks like, it almost just looks like cloth at first, but then she kind of unwraps something and you realize it's this kind of nautical looking shell. You came here to make amends for the wrongs of ancestors. You came here to cleanse the shadow from your heart. I gift you this. She hands the shell over towards you. If your heart ever strays, or if the enemy tries to drown you in shadow once more, bring this to your ear, and let the sound of the loon's waters remind you which way lies the surface. If you bring it up to your ear momentarily, you just hear like the sounds of like water just like rushing in your ears.
Thank you. You've done so much for me.
I feel you will be repaying me in far greater capacity than anything we have done for you. So while this is happening, I am actually putting these items in your inventory. I'll explain mechanically in a second. Gilly Kettlegrass, a Bree hobbit of the Bree Kettlegrasses. You have brought a smile and a delight to the hearts of many a forlorn elf. Your passion and kind-heartedness has rekindled even the most morose and cynical of us. And we have seen what you have sketched in your pages. And so she pulls out what looks like this sort of leather pouch.
Uh-huh.
And she kind of opens it up a little bit. Yeah, and you can see it's like a series of jars, and there's all these little powders and pigments in them. You would know it's literally for making paints and ink. Yeah, it's fine. And so she kind of hands it over to you. You could see she actually kneels down, so she's like face to face with you. Her knee is on the ground as she hands it over. For when memory fails, and a reminder is needed of deeds both noble and modest. She just places them in your hand.
And Gilly will take them and she'll clutch them to her chest. Thank you. And then she's gonna reach out really quickly and to hug her. And then she'll step back. Thank you. And return to the group.
And then And then she turns towards Sorendir. And she says, Sorendir, step forward.
Very slowly, awkwardly step forward.
And you can see that she produces from this box. She kind of pulls this up, and as she does so, she says, Solendir, elf of Linden, guard of Forlond, warden of Eriador. And then she kind of like reaches up like this necklace, this woven fiber. You can see there's a pendant on it. It's like she's going to put it on you. For remembering where you are, who you are, and that wherever you travel, you carry your people with you. She places it over you, and you can, as you look down, you can see there's this pendant, and it's carved out of like rock or coral or something, and it's bearing the emblem of Forlon, this sort of through the ages shifting and changing and revision of the Noldor themselves, Linden. And it's carried by all elves here, and especially by the guards. And then when you look at the corner of your eye, you can see Balavan, helmet removed, kind of holding it under his arm, many of the others as well. And you can see they all have the same thing kind of hanging down on their chests.
My lady. Yeah, I'll kind of like start to reach up to touch it, and I just stop before my hand gets to it. You truly honor me. Thank you.
As you journey this world and aid these new friends of Forlond, it is you who will do honor to us. Do not hide who you are, Sorendir. Wear it proudly.
I will. Thank you.
So this kind of procession, this little ceremony ends. A few other elves begin to step up, and you hear they begin to start singing. You hear this like very low kind of hum, and then the second row begins, and it's this serene. It's not sad, but at the same time, it's not quickly paced, and you feel, all of you, like a warmth kind of come over you as you're kind of led through these gates away from this statue of this mighty figure amongst the waves. You see outside the gates, as you depart from the elves, there is a wagon, and there are two humans that are kind of milling about. Once the procession kind of fades, Amdarim remains kind of near your side for a few steps more. Balavan as well, kind of walking. And Amdarim says, once the ceremony is kind of complete, he says, these two were stranded along our shores more than a month ago, before you all ventured here. They have been seeking a return journey. Goblins and storms waylaid them. Would you be so kind as to ensure their safety, at least as far as your paths align? They are friendly, and we mean them
Of course.
no ill will.
Absolutely.
So
They will have our protection.
I am sure they will. Thank you, Sorandir. And at that, Amdarim bids his final farewell to all of you. And kind of returns. Balavan lingers a moment. Did you?
Sorandir will kind of like awkwardly look at the party and then look back at Balavan.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, you exchange a look, maybe. I mean, it's very modest, and like there's certainly for anyone paying attention, you can tell that there's more that needs to be said or should be said, but duty calls, and you all have a journey to take, and Balavan has a city to protect. And he says, I will see you when you return. And then doesn't wait, turns around, and begins following Amdarim back into the city.
Sorendir's mouth opens as if he's ready to call out after him, but no words come out. And he just kind of lowers his head and turns around, looking towards the road.
Okay. So, procession and circumstance over. Let's dive into the mechanics for a second. So first, those items, I'm going to treat them as useful items, but they're not going to count against your required totals. They're not full-on magical, but like treat them mechanically like useful items.
Okay.
Hang on, I think I still got to put Sorendir's in. But all of them essentially just help a skill. Like, you can tap into it. Be good about it. Don't, use it when it makes sense to use. So like, Gilly's is craft. Like, use that when it makes sense to use paints and inks.
Yes.
Like not any time you roll craft, right? But you have them now. And
Gonna repair a boat with her paint.
Yeah.
I'm gonna paint the boat. Okay.
Can I paint?
Boy can make the boat. I will decorate it.
Yeah. Can I just paint the wood panels that are missing where this hole is? Yeah. Just paint away like a Warner Bros. Commercial, cartoon. Okay. So that's one thing with it. And then the second thing is we need to get into our journey phase. And
Yes,
you all need to kind of map it out for me. So, how do we want... So I got the map up. If you all want to jump over to the area door map. Whoa. Okay. So, are you in fact undertaking the task that the Lady of Forlorn has set in front of you, meaning to literally journey into the mountains of Angmar and find Othrengul? Is that your task? Is that what are you accepting this?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So she would be able to give you, I'll go ahead and kind of ping it on the map for you all. It is west of her memory of it. And that, again, is potentially suspect. Is that it's west of Carndum, and it literally, she remembers that it overlooked the Forad Waith, the northern wastes. And so, roughly on the map, I will put a little mark for you all, so that you all can see it. Somewhere in that, like, if you look all the way to the northeast, I'll move the map, so I put a little green X around where you would be going.
Got it.
Okay.
And that means we're going a very long way.
It's a very, very, very long way.
Yeah, so we're going from Forlorn, west of West Linden, all the way in that direction. So let's dig into how we know how journeys work. How are we doing in terms of? Someone's got to draw. Actually, let's start there. Someone's got to draw the path.
I think the safest route would be to go through the Shire and go north at Bree. Do we want to go the safe route or the fun route?
I mean, I think Gilly would vote for that one so she could say goodbye to her parents, because this is going to be a really long journey.
Okay.
But
I'm good with that. So
it's up to you guys. At least Hobbiton. I at least want to go through Hobbiton.
if we go directly east to Bree and then head north from there.
Yeah, and follow the Greenway up and then skirt around Fornost.
How's that land in the center there? It's just like all plain, like up in the lowlands.
The lowlands.
Yeah, so that is you've kind of been in parts of that area, but a little bit more to the east from there. But yeah, that is the lowlands. It's just sort of not endless, but like plains and hills and wastes. It's sort of. There's a lot of different things there. I mean, Aurenial, you might have spent time ranging that far at some point. Marimben and Talendil have probably ranged through there as well. So it is not safe place. As far as you would probably guess, the likelihood of you potentially encountering some of like Lottie's like hill folk is probably higher there than some other paths you might take. I do want to clarify something with Gilly. I know you said you want to go through Hobbiton. Your folks are in Bree, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just want to sure because I couldn't tell if I heard that right.
That's just Ashley wanting to pop in and see more hobbits, and
Okay.
you do those voices.
Oh gosh.
Hi. That's a strictly Ashley.
Gotta
thing.
visit Marge again.
No.
Okay. So go ahead.
We can't go through Bree without doing some chores for Marge.
Achilles.
Yeah, so I think we're just going straight east to make
Alright.
it to Bree.
Go ahead
So
and
are we
draw
gonna
it.
like follow like the coast or?
Yeah, we can follow coast. I just drew a straight line.
I think technically we would follow the coast
Okay.
to.
I think we should
Grey
climb
Havens.
that peak of the mountain that we're going over. Like
Long got a
crest
rule.
it.
Long put a ruler up by his monitor and just drew the thing across. Oh
Let
goodness.
me erase
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
would say following the Gulf of Loon.
Okay.
To the
I mean, we
Grey
can turn
Havens.
this into two journeys. We can turn this into a journey to Bree. That's one. And then
Yeah.
we could do a second journey from Bree up. That's perfectly fine too. There's no reason we have to do everything, in one big swell. It does mean like you would probably spend a couple days time in Bree. It wouldn't be
Resting.
like-
Yeah.
That's perfectly reasonable.
Erebon would still be a little hesitant to go that close to the Grey Havens as well. Despite everything that happened here, he still wouldn't like that idea.
Okay.
Okay.
So-
So draw your option.
Yeah.
He would go if that's what you guys want to do, but he probably would. Here, let me draw here.
Okay.
Like we could just visit some dwarves and then get to Bree.
You all,
Wasn't the Grey
you all
Havens
make
where-
this decision.
Yeah,
The
so
Grey
this-
Havens
the-
where that injured elf got sent.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
Mm.
Mendir.
And dear.
You might get outvoted there, Soren dear.
If I get outvoted, that's fine. I will go after this, but
Didn't we determine that Storndeer had like an X at like every like major city? And that's
I-
why he doesn't want to go.
I would be in agreement with
all my
the,
exes live in Texas.
So I'm not sure that everybody sees all the colors, but I would go with purple, which I think was Ashley's drawing.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so for Jeff,
Let's
who
do it.
hasn't really been paying too much attention to anything you all say, because I don't know what the hell's going on with the map right now. There's 1,000 different colored lines. Which of these lines am I following?
We're gonna go along the coast,
Okay.
cross past Mithron, or I can't read it because I drew right through it,
Mithlond. Yeah, Mithlond, Grey
Mithlond.
Havens. Okay.
and then go over and follow. What is that? The Great Brandy, or go over the Brandywine Bridge to Bree.
Okay, so you're gonna get along. So you are gonna cut through you're gonna cut through Mitchell Delving, and you're gonna go through the Shire, etc. Hit the Brandywine
Yeah.
Bridge. Okay,
Yes.
All right. I think that all makes sense. And
Yeah,
then
relatively
we'll call,
straight shot east from Grey
Okay.
Havens to Bree.
and we'll just say it's not necessarily a journey all the way to Angmar, but we're gonna do like a stop
At
in
Bree,
Bree,
yeah.
and probably
Pit
break
stop.
it at that point. That's fine. Okay. It's not that there's a timer on this or anything.
We told Google Maps that we need to find a
Oops.
gas station and
Yeah.
charge up.
I'm gonna just
Find a Starbucks on the route.
up a little bit. Okay, fair enough. All right, so that's done. How about rolls then? So like I know we've done things before. I wasn't sure if you wanted to just give you a chance if any you wanted to change. Guide is the person who's in charge of decisions concerning route. It's a travel role. Hunter is in charge of finding food in the wild. That's hunting. Lookout is in charge of keeping watch. That's awareness. And Scout is in charge of setting up camp and opening new trails. And that's explore. Floyd's usually the guide. Are we changing that up at all?
Gilly, you and I talked a while ago about possibly switching spots after our next fellowship phase. Are we doing that, or do you not want to? You're muted.
It doesn't matter. We still have the same skills. Like we both have 3 in awareness and it's favored. And we have
You
2
were
in
gonna
explore.
try and try and
I wound up
favor
changing
something.
because I did healing and I did enheartens because we need help with our councils.
Yeah, we do. Okay, so let's just stick to what we had then.
Okay.
What I will say, Aurenial's cloak helps with travel, and so Aurenial would like to try that out. If that's okay. I don't know that anyone other than me has hunting, so this may affect our ability to eat.
I don't think
I have
anyone
2
has
pips in hunting. I could do that.
Okay.
If we want to do
Uh,
a triangle shuffle with Gilly taking, I don't know.
Yeah, we can do that. So
Alright.
Renil's the guide.
Mhm. That would put.
Uh,
I think that would put you to the.
That would-
to
you would be
scout,
explorer.
Floy.
yeah, I can do scout.
Sounds good. So we'll put. Okay, we're switching it up. Floyd, I got Floyd at scout. Gilly, you're at lookout
Awareness,
still.
lookout. Yeah.
You're the only one who stayed in the same role.
Yeah.
Hunter is going to be Erebon, or excuse me, Sorendir.
The
Sorry,
vegetarian.
It happened
is
in
gonna
chat,
be the
and so it was
hunter.
in my head.
Yeah.
And then you're just gonna slaughter animals left and right, or maybe you just come back. You don't have to kill animals. You can just go get.
I'm
food. You're
hunting
just
for
getting
roots
food.
is what I'm doing.
Yeah, and
That's all he
berries and
brings
things.
back.
Yeah. And our guide is finally our ranger is stepping into the guide role. It only took you 32 episodes. Okay. All right. Cool. All right.
I'm
so
expecting this to go as I think it's going to.
Oh, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great.
Sure.
All right. So let's get started. If you all remember, you all remember how this works, right?
Yes, sir.
Who goes
Okay.
first?
We do.
Aurenial. So first of all, let's kind of come back. You guys are meeting this party of 2 people. When you kind of come up to them, you can see that you might have crossed paths at some point in your time within Forlond. They both look. You can tell that the wagon is somewhat worse for wear, but you can also see that it's been patched, and like as if likely the craftsmanship of the elves, the courtesy of the elves has been extended to them as well. You don't see any fancy gifts around their necks or anything like that, but nonetheless, they do seem to be kind of friendly. And when you come up, there's a man and a woman, and kind of the man has what looks like some kind of hat that's sort of a little bit off to the side, kind of askew somewhat. The woman has what looks like some kind of like kind of bonnet half like wrapped around her hair, kind of smooth, and you can see some feathers from around the area, from around Linden. They're kind of adorning some of the curls. And so the man sort of steps up and he's like, "Hello, my friends, new friends, I hope. My name is Elrica. This is my wife, Alina. Hello. We were told by the Grand Lady of Ortolos that we might be able to have your assistance for some time, or at least for part of the journey, if you would be so kind."
Well, yes. How'd you guys
course.
get to Forlond? Do you know where you're going?
Oh, well, you see, so Alina kind of steps up. We are from Tharbad, to the southeast. We've been tasked by the captain of the haven to try to advance some trade opportunities in the area, and we were journeying here to Forlond, old maps and such, and we were thinking about possibly hitting some stops along the way, but unfortunately the wagon has been severely injured and such, but we would like to return. If you're going as far as Bray, we would much appreciate the company, and we can part company there, as we will be heading south along the north-south road down to the Grey Flood. Have any of you been to Tharbad?
Tharbad, Aurenial, isn't that where your people were traveling to?
I believe that that was more the direction of the angle.
Yeah. If anyone wants, you can roll lore to see if you know anything about Tharbad. It's perfectly fine.
Let's do that.
I will.
I don't do lore well, but I will try anyway. Ooh, that's a Gandalf.
And remember to let me know if you roll any Saurons.
Single success for me.
Okay. Floy or Gilly, were you rolling?
No, I'll pass.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got a single success.
Okay, so you all know that Tharbad is a city on the river, the Grey Flood, where the north-south road, which is sort of connects to the Greenway and such, and there it's kind of known for having a very old and very impressive bridge. It is not. It is an old city actually, and it from a time when Arnor was whole, and in the successor kingdoms as well. But it kind of occupied this sort of unique position where it wasn't necessarily part of, kind of had like semi-independence and that kind of thing. But of recent times, it has a reputation of, at least in the last several years, of being a not particularly great place, where like the captain of the Haven, which is sort of the leader of the city, basically, has been known to tax some folks here and there, and it sort of economically was a sort of it was led by someone more shady. And so it's known to be, or at least it has a reputation, at least over the last several years, of not necessarily being a particularly nice place. Rumor, I would say, with Aurenial, I'll say with the Gandalf, rumor has it that there is new leadership in the city that is attempting to improve on that. That's probably the extent of what you would know.
And Aurenial generally doesn't get too involved in sort of political type talk, but she will say, are you feeling positive about the recent changes in your home area?
Captain Gurnow has been I know he's got some questionable past, but Lady Stock certainly has straightened him out, and the two of them have put Tharbad on a route. It's at their behest that we're traveling around trying to reinvigorate the city. I mean, there's not much river traffic any longer, but whether it be here or Bree or even Master Dwarf, we thought about maybe journeying up to the Blue Mountains, and if it's possible, maybe we could get a recommendation from you on who we might speak to with your people. We are very friendly with some of the dwarves. There's colonies, a small colony that we'd still trade with south in the Dunlands, on the western slopes of the Misty Mountains. They come quite often, and we have exchanges. Good people, they are, very. So we have had times interacting with dwarves. And if you could perhaps,
And very nervous, but at the same time, she's like angling for like, can you tell me who to speak with? That kind of thing.
No, I could give you a name or two.
oh, well, that would be delightful, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it, Alrica? Well, that would be quite fine. Thank you, Master Dwarf.
Were you successful in your ventures in Forlorn?
To be honest, we lost some of our product in the storm, but it seems that the lady, Master Amdarim, has been very kind to us and has sent us back with some linens and things. Perhaps we might be able to come to some sort of exchange. Sadly, he says that the elves don't much travel on the rivers any longer. Their ships take them across the seas. So, but there's potential. We are invited back, in fact, and we go with with some sort of terms. So I'm optimistic, at least. So it's not all a loss. And if Master Floy, is it? If perhaps we might be able to make some sort of connection as well. Not nearly as heroic duty as the four of you, but people need to eat, and we're trying to reach out and make new friendships and repair old reputations.
We in our travels, we were also beset upon the road and lost some of what we were overseeing in travel, so understand what that can be.
Very, very dangerous. And of course, if the four of you ever find yourselves southward of the Bree lands, and please come visit. It's not the it's not as grandiose as Forlond, of course, but and certainly there's work to be done, but a little bit of elbow grease and hard work and duty and dedication, and I think we are on the right path. Yes.
Might be some time before down south again. We'll be in the north for a while.
Of course. Maybe you will. Your friends of cousins of the dwarves in the south. They're quite kind. They are a bit rowdy. I'm not sure if all your kind is like that, but they are very friendly. So we would be very kind. We would love to make an introduction, of course.
So that's them trying to reroute us to the hills right now, or just
They're not like forcing you. They're just sort of talking. I imagine this is just like early travels. You're still within a couple miles of Forlon. There's no real danger here. Like you're just sort of talking and introducing each other. You're going to be with each other for a couple weeks probably in terms of travel.
Yeah, it's going to be a while.
So this is just sort of basic intros. You're kind of feeling each other out.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we necessarily talk a ton about what we're doing, but knowing that it is a long travel, the more that they're willing to kind of talk and pass the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So with that, introductions out of the way, let's get into some rolls. Arinial, you got to do a travel roll.
I do have to do a travel roll, so I have in travel. I've got 2 in travel, and it is not favored. And I will see what I do. And that is, I failed by 1. It is a 13, and I needed a 14.
Okay. So.
It's about how I thought that would go.
Immediately we're regretting everything that's happening. Immediately, the choice
something
to
that
put
I will
the ranger in
actually
charge.
say. Something that I will actually say, because in the last kind of several fellowship phases, we've sort of cycled between kind of Bree, and then the mountains with Floy, and then Forlond with Sorendir. So I'll actually say that, and I was kind of thinking this ahead of time anyway, but I think it works with the role, is that you kind of notice with Arinial that she does sort of seem to be maybe daydreaming a bit, that when she's kind of trying to get her bearings, and maybe, kind of she likes to sort of get to higher ground and you kind of see where she's going, you kind of notice that it takes her a while to kind of catch up with the group. And she's just, it's expected that, it's not necessarily, spending a lot of time with family all the time, but sort of this succession of everyone else in the group being around kind of their kind is kind of put her in a slight bit of melancholy and just sort of spending some time away. So I think it makes sense that she was not really paying as close attention as she should have.
Okay. Sorendir, could you roll a hunting test?
I can do that.
Yeah, first couple days to travel. Again, it's not very difficult. You are, however, passing by the colony where you fought the goblins, and you can see that there's some trepidation as these new travelers is passing by, as they kind of regale you with their encounter with goblins. And in fact, they weren't just two. There was a third, a kind of a hired mercenary, a guard that came with him that unfortunately fell. And they're sort of telling you this. Like, you camp out not too far away from, after the first day's travel from where this happened, and you hear the sounds of wolves in the distance howling. Nothing too close. Gives you maybe sort of memories, perhaps, of wargs fought up near Angmar, up near Mount Grom. Sorendir, you awake in the morning early, and you go hunting. You kind of sort of venture a little bit further northward towards the edges of the forest themselves. Hellsong, thank you so much for that sub. That's so very kind of you. So Sorendir, how'd you do on that roll?
I got an extraordinary success.
Okay.
Ooh.
You are at you're kind of at the edge of the forest itself. You can see that, like, the thickness of the forest, like the really like where you were kind of traveled through and encountered the goblins, and Floy had his incident, with the creature of that kind of peeled itself off from shadow. You're not in the thick of it. It's more just like the scattered copses of trees, sort of like, if you're looking at the map, like the southwest edges of the forest themselves. And you found yourself this grove of kind of bushes of berries, and you find yourself kind of collecting them. And you hear suddenly the sounds of, it almost sounds like thunder at first, but you realize it's not right. And then you feel the ground sort of shaking, and you're thinking it's like a quake of the earth. And then finally you look up, and you see bolting out from between these trees, this elk, very large, bigger than you, antlers kind of kicking off, and this sort of symmetrical but very complex forms. And you see it just burrowing down on you. You see it start all of a sudden as it sees you, and as it tries to kind of dodge out of the way of you, run away, you hear and you see an arrow explode, cutting right through the neck of the creature that goes tumbling down to the ground. What do you do?
I'm running up to the elk, seeing if I can provide any first aid.
Okay, go ahead, and as you get up to the elk, you can see an arrow has gone through its throat, undoubtedly. It is not yet dead. It is laboring. Roll a healing test.
I rolled a 5. I needed an 18.
You, unfortunately, don't have the knowledge to piece together a way to save this creature. But I will say is that you could find a way to take it out of its misery. As you can tell, it's laboring to breathe, and it's choking on itself.
Yeah, I will, knowing that I can't save it, I'll pull my knife, and I'll say a few words in Elvish over it, and then Heroine Edith Abweneth. And I take my knife and I slice the throat to put it out of its misery.
And as you're going through and saying those words, you make the cut, lower your head, kind of reverence. You hear a voice shout out to you. "Hey there! Do not get any ideas. That is my kill." And you look up, and you can see there is a man standing there, 20, 30 feet away, stepping out from behind a tree. He's got what looks like all sorts of like different furs and leathers on. A hunter of some kind. You can tell from a distance this scraggly beard, clearly human, not at all an elf. You can tell he's got the bow in his hand, this large bow. "Thank you for putting it out of its misery, but it is I who shot the arrow that killed it. It will be my kill. I will dress it. I will take it. If you would like a piece, I can give you that, but I must ask you to step away."
Still kneeling down. I'll hear all that. I won't turn to face him. Yeah. I'll clean off my knife and then slowly stand up. I trust you shot this creature for a good reason.
My belly is empty. I need to eat. What other reason is there to kill such a creature?
Gesture to how we're surrounded by berries. The forest gives plenty of food without taking the life.
Berries I do enjoy, but it does not fill the belly. And when it does, it leaves me weak. I will eat the meat. I will be stronger for it. I mean no disrespect, Elf. I have great reverence for these creatures. Would you have me leave it to be torn to pieces by the wolves that hunt this area?
No, I would not. You have killed it. Eat it.
Thank you. I mean no ill will toward you. In fact, I should warn you. If you journey eastward, there are fierce wolves that are hunting the plains between the trees and the shore. I have encountered them more than once. He kind of holds up his arm, and he's got this, like, wrap around that's still kind of, you can tell it's kind of got this darkened reddish brown, like it's like he's suffered like a bite recently, and he kind of points to what looks like a scar on his neck. They are mighty and they are high in number. And they are fierce and bold. A single elf or a small group will not deter them.
I appreciate the warning. Thank you. Which way are you traveling?
I return to the forest. That is where my home is. I am Asborn. I am friend to those in Forland, which I assume is from where you are. I see the mark on your chest. He kind of points to the necklace that you wear.
Yes, I am Sorendir of Forland.
Good day to you, then. Peace be with you. And be wary. Do not underestimate them. They are very intelligent creatures, and they are led by a large matriarch. Fierce with red eyes and white fur. But she somehow will sneak upon you in the shadows. You would think it not possible, but it is.
These wolves, how large is the pack?
I have counted at least 10, perhaps more.
Thank you for the warning. We will be cautious.
Good day to you. And he kind of mutters like a basic goodbye greeting, like in Elvish. It's a little mangled, but it's accurate.
I'll reply in Elvish and then head back towards the group with my berries.
And you hear him kind of like kneel down to the ground, like the sort of like the grinding as he begins to sort of dress the kill. And you return. Go ahead and everyone take a fatigue. As the first night travels isn't too terrible, but it's nonetheless how this game works.
Everyone's taking one?
Everyone takes one, yeah. So, I mean, I keep these things hidden from you all so I can kind of make them up as, like, make up what happens. But essentially, if you all want to know, like, how this works, I roll a check to see who's got the event, okay? In this case, it was the hunter, and so that's you this time. And then I roll an event, what kind of event, and depending upon what land you're in, it might be a favored roll, a regular roll, or an ill-favored roll. In this case, it's favored. You guys got the best, sort of one of the best, which is like a shortcut. Unfortunately, you failed the test with your 5, which means that you don't actually get the shortcut. But the company does gain 1 fatigue.
Yes.
It's been a rough start.
That's fine.
Okay. So Aurenial, Sorendir returns. I would say you all are kind of smart enough as you're kind of packing up the camp for the morning. You can see he's got little flecks of blood
kind of here and there, probably barely, there as he kind of killed. But you see him walking up, returning with bushels of berries of some kind.
What did you stick
I would-
yourself on bushes? You have blood on you in the picking of berries.
I came across a hunter and helped him with his kill. He gave us
Did you?
warning of a pack of wolves in the area have been preying on travelers. We should be cautious. There's quite a few of them, and they apparently are quite intelligent.
So should we reroute?
I don't know if we really could reroute. We need to go east, and we're stuck between the coast and the mountains. I think we should just be cautious.
Okay.
We will keep our eyes around at all times, and we'll make sure to share with the humans that we will continue to keep their safety of utmost importance, but there may be some dangers ahead.
Okay. And they nothing that the lot of you can't handle, I hope, yes?
Oh, it's just don't wander too far. Stay within eyesight, or they'll get to you before I can.
Absolutely.
I've got, and he kind of picks up what looks like this. It's not like a formal weapon. It's some sort of like blackjack club type of weapon. He's like, I'm not the greatest in a fight, nor is my wife, but we can knock some noggins if necessary.
Don't worry. Floy is very dangerous over short distances.
I've heard that before. We have dwarvish mates, and Tharbad has said dwarves are natural sprinters.
It's true. Can confirm.
All right. So, Renil, go ahead and make another travel test.
I'm so tempted to use some of the D6s that we have to roll this, at least at favored.
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
All right, we have 7, so I'm going to spend 5 of them to roll this at favored. So,
Cheater.
roll.
All dwarves should sound like Pavel. Yes, I am Pavel. I am a dwarf of Gladrock. This is my pet. He is a marmot.
I'm glad I spent it because I did fail the first time. And
Oh
on my
my.
second roll, I got a 19 over 14. So that is a success.
Okay,
Nice
you
job.
all are trying to stick as close to the coast as possible. Is that the plan?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Maybe you're less distracted. Maybe the story about these wolves, Aurenial, you like kind of refocus.
For sure.
Yeah, you've had a few weeks underneath the care and guidance of these elves where maybe your senses have dulled ever so slightly without the need to constantly be aware of dangers and such. But after a few days, the muscle memory returns, and you get back to and kind of tracking the past and being a little bit even more concerned. You have a cart now that you have to concern yourselves with, so you have to steer yourselves around some of the muddier portions near the coast where you're still hitting rain from time to time as well as the storms continue to roll in, some of them very violent. But you do seem to, the next few days, everyone a little bit more alert, kind of keeping an eye out for anything. Oops, there we go. Another Sorendir roll, another hunter roll.
All right.
Yes. Middle Earth, canonically, there are marmots, at least in our version of Middle Earth, there are marmots galore. Oh my gosh, we should
That
go.
is a
We should go to the swamps and talk to the talking ferrets. They're not ferrets, they're marmots now. Okay. My mind ideas. Okay.
nice marmot. That was a great success. That was a 19 over 14.
Okay. you all, just as I kind of describe this much easier path to take, Sorendir, you can see that the elevation is kind of descending a little bit, like the high cliffs of Forlon. Forlon was kind of built at a high point on the cliffs, and while you're not directly on the beach or anything like that, the shoreline is much closer. And there's periodic switchbacks. You're able to kind of weave down and wade out into the waters and kind of use the ocean itself, find what you can there. Maybe a few others participate, find shells or crabs or other things, kelp, seaweed, etc., that might actually be used in some sort of food for the evening. However, at one point, as you all are kind of moving about, you can tell that Sorendir, you're coming back up, and you can see at kind of this horrifying moment where the wagon has gotten just a little too close to the edge, and there's about a 15-foot drop off to the shore below, and you can see the wheel just go over the edge, and just suddenly the wagon's tilted. A few of their barrels kind of fall out and drop. You hear shouts like, "Oh, no, wait," as they kind of shouting to one another. And now the wagon is just sort of like perilously tipping over the side, with the rear, like kind of passenger side wheel is kind of just tipping over, spinning around. Nothing seems to have been broken, but you see a few things have fallen down. A couple things have scattered about, like a barrel is ruptured at the bottom. Small mishap. How do you all want to handle it?
You said the drop was 15 or 50?
It's about 15 to 20 feet or so, all the way down to the shore from where, like, the actual wagon is kind of like tipped over the side. No one's fallen yet, but you can tell
look
they're
over
struggling.
the cliff to see if it's like salvageable or it's just destroyed.
Yeah, the barrel has been busted and split open, and you can see there's all these different, like, individually wrapped, like, elvish packages, likely maybe linens or things like that have fallen and scattered, kind of getting covered up in sand. Easy enough to recover those. The bigger issue right now is that the wagon is kind of teetering off the side. The barrel can probably be fixed just with, maybe a half an hour's worth of time of kind of like patching or repatching, maybe painting over top of where the hole is now, something like that.
So Iridio wants to focus on the wagon.
Okay, what do you want to do?
Basically looking for an athletics check, trying to kind of pull the wagon.
Yeah, Gilly will like take her rope and hook and like do like the same thing we did with the other one, kind of.
Okay.
And attach it and try and help.
All right, yeah, Reno, go ahead and roll that athletics. Someone else doing something?
Yeah, I'll take some berries and I'll squish them on the underside of the carriage to grease it up a bit, so it'll slide along.
Okay, Reno, roll an athletics test. Take 2 bonus die from Gilly's help in whatever the hell Sorendir is doing. To give you
I feel like it's going to be one of those things that, like, as she's pushing, she's just like getting all of this like berry grease all over her.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so first roll. All right, I've got some. That is definitely a success plus 2 6s on my d6s. So I believe that is what we call an extraordinary success.
Okay, you just like, it was such a roller coaster there.
It's my thought process happening out loud.
Fair enough. And I always tell you to do that, so that's good. I always tell you to think out loud. Okay, so yes, Arenil, you're up ahead, getting ready to kind of sort of track, looking, Gilly too. You're out there, kind of keeping an eye out for any signs of danger, any suggestions of wolves, things like that. And then you come rushing past the sounds of the screams from these 2 humans. You see Sorendir mushing up berries and kind of greasing Gilly. You get the grappling hook in between Gilly and Arenil, and probably Floyd coming over, pulling it from the side. The humans get out as well, and they're pushing from behind. And you're able to kind of get the wagon back underway. Everyone go ahead and take 2 fatigue, as it does take some time and exhaustion, and you do expend a little bit of time helping them kind of gather up some of the materials that are scattered about in the sand and rocks below along the shore. Never thought that would be how berries would be used, but here we are. Thank you.
Well, I mean, it was
Stephen.
a hunting roll, so I had to find a way to work that in.
That's fair. Okay. You do hear the sounds, Gilly, by the way, of wolves in the distance. You can hear these howls. And they kind of echo as if they're coming from these different locations. You see some are behind, some are ahead, some are just to the north. The ground around you is relatively flat. Like there's not undulating hills or anything like that. And you don't see signs of them. There are outcroppings of rock, occasional tree here and there scattered about. But nothing to suggest that they're near you. But you can tell that they are in the area. Aurenial, make another travel roll, please.
Oh, goodness.
This is how it works.
All right.
We're getting out of our comfort zones here.
I know.
This is good, though. This is good. You're going to need this.
Oh, that is a success with a 15 over a 14.
Okay. And you continue along the coast, right? You're always sticking to the coast. Okay. All right. So, roll up the next one. Okay. So the next target is awareness. Gilly Kettlegrass. Lookout. Please roll your awareness test.
Okay. I am going to spend a hope
Okay.
to tap
next
into my
couple-
distinctive feature.
Okay. The next couple of days are pretty rough in terms of weather. And you can see that you're starting to notice like the cloud formations themselves are getting darker and darker. You see choppiness in the waters as you're getting further inward, in fact. You can see those storm clouds off to the west are starting to roll in. You've been pelted with rain more than once. You've had to slow down from time to time. You kind of peer off a little, like the traveling along these like the rocky coast here is becoming more dangerous as the rocks get wet and slippery. And it's not just the wagon that's having trouble, but you all are occasionally slipping and falling. You feel a boot kind of get, kind of lost into what is some sort of like puddle of water and mud. You pull it on out and you have to kind of shake it out and clean it. And other times someone tumbles down and you can see your pack has kind of slipped down the slippery rock. Kind of almost once or twice as you kind of peel past a section of the coastline where there is no beach, it just kind of a pack falls into the water and someone has to go fishing it out. And the next several days of travel are not the best. Gilly, how'd you do?
Extraordinary success.
Okay.
Yay.
A couple times, Gilly, you do manage to hear the sounds of those wolves, and at night, as you're laying down for bed, you do notice at a distance, just as like you're getting ready to doze off, you see shadows moving, kind of shifting here and there. And you look around the camp and you see Aurenial is there, you see Floy's there, and Sorendir, and both of your human companions, these merchants. And you can tell that you're getting surrounded. What do you do?
Gilly wakes everybody up.
Okay.
And she's gonna add more tinder to the fire.
Okay. So the fire gets a little bit bigger. Now it's still raining. Storms kind of sweeping in, winds. So like you add more and it blazes, but then it kind of gets a little wet, and then it blazes, and kind of it's not the greatest. But yes, it's definitely bright around your camp. But you got all of you as you wake up, you look around, you listen, and yeah, you hear the sounds of snarls and distant howls and things like that are somewhere in the shadows.
I'll just
What do you
ready
want to
my arms and get in front of the humans we're escorting.
Okay, and you can see like Alina kind of steps up, and like you step in front of her, she's like, "Excuse me," and she steps around to the side. She's got like what looks like this big old pan up and ready to go, and Alikar is right there too with his makeshift blackjack, and he's like,
Don't worry, dwarf, we've got your back. Let him come. Let him come.
What are the rest
And
of
if
you
any,
doing?
I'll
Go
just
for
get if any step out, it's pretty much just swing at them.
Okay. What are the rest of you doing?
Sorendir is wearing both of his elvish cloaks now, thanks to Erennial, to stay out of the rain. Would I be able to stealth into the shadows just to get away from the fire so I'm not a big target? Like, I know they're wolves and they can still smell it and everything, but I'd like to try and just slip away and get away from the light so I can see into the darkness better.
Yes, go ahead and roll a stealth test. And yes, you can use your cloak.
How do you always know?
Oh my goodness. Thank you,
Cause
Raiders.
that's what you do. Oh my gosh, Orkin's Balter TV, thank you so much for the raid.
Hi.
Thank you so much.
Hey, welcome, guys.
We are playing One Ring 2nd Edition. We have our ongoing campaign here. We're currently in the middle of a journey phase as we're traveling from the Elves of Linden in the west of Eriador. They're trying to return to the Bree lands. But we very much appreciate that raid. It's very, very kind of you. Okay, right now our elf of the party is trying to sneak off into the darkness as the party is being surrounded possibly by wolves here. So how'd you do?
Yeah, so I got my D12 plus 4 D6s, and I needed a 14, and I rolled exactly a 14.
Ooh, that's very close.
If I did not get that extra die, that extra one, I would have lost. I would have failed.
My goodness.
All right, Sorendir, you sneak off into the darkness. Rain is pelting. You can hear like it kind of coming down. You see puddles around you, but in a strange way, it's actually helping you because not only is it making the place a little bit darker. There's not a whole lot of moonlight or sunlight, obviously, because the storm clouds are up and they're getting full. You look up into the sky, and it's almost as black there as it is in the distance to the south, where you like look out across the bay, the Gulf, and you notice that one of the shadows themselves, as you were looking to the north, looking for signs of these wolves, you see one flash of like white light just whiff by you. Like it's not like a lantern, but just this sudden appearance of white just move about 20 feet off to the north of you, and you hear the like footsteps like in the mud in between like the torrential downpour as it's getting thicker and thicker and thicker. Okay, so we've got Floy, you're standing with your merchants, you're kind of keeping them guard. Sorinder, you've slipped off into the darkness, and you think you've caught sight of sort of the matriarch of this pack, that large kind of white-furred wolf. Gilly and Aurinial, what are you two up to here?
For Aurinial, so we did hear about the wolves a while back in our travels. So would it be appropriate to say that maybe Aurinial has kind of spent some time maybe kind of sharpening up some sticks along the way, and I want to see if I'd be able to do that and kind of try to put them around the wagon a little bit.
Okay, so you
so sort of like a trap-ish.
Okay, why don't we do?
Not that I'm using the wagon as bait, but
okay, why don't we do like maybe a craft roll to sort of piece together this trap for you, get some spikes and situate them in such a way.
Oh dear.
Were you thinking of something else?
No, that's very appropriate.
Okay.
I am going to take one of the D6s that we have donated, so that I'm at least rolling 2 D6s on this.
Okay.
So that I can try to succeed at this craft roll. Ooh, and that's a Gandalf. So I did succeed.
I used to like Gandalf. No. Okay, so you've essentially like every couple of feet you have these wooden spikes kind of coming up and out, almost like protecting against like the charge of cavalry, right? And luckily, in some ways, the wetness of the ground is actually aiding, and you're able to sort of twist and grind like the butt end of these spikes into the ground, and every few feet you're able to sort of intersperse it. How strong they are, you're not sure. You're not in like the strongest of forest. Like again, you're getting like scattered trees, so you're getting a lot of like driftwood and things like that. How well they would possibly like withhold against like a charge of creatures, you're not sure, but it certainly would help. But we'll say you get it decently surrounded.
Okay.
Gilly, what would you be doing?
Gilly's climbed up into the wagon and she's got her bow and arrow racked and ready.
Okay. All right. So you've got it ready. Is there anything else you want to do in terms of just getting ready? I know you and Floy are both kind of getting ready. Is there anything more active you want to do before I unleash what's about to happen?
Ernie will get her bow.
Now I'm extra nervous. Maybe Gilly will take that if I have the time. Maybe dip some oil on a few of my arrows.
Okay, that's fine. You can do that. All right. So you've got some oil-soaked arrowheads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe wrap some cloth around them as well, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorendir, you're out away from the camp, and you can't see them specifically, but you can see shadows. It's like the contrast in light. You see the fire kind of occasionally getting a little higher and then dimming back down and higher and dimming back down. And between you and it, you can see a shadow suddenly move off to the side, another kind of move off as well. And you can tell like it looks like this pack of wolves is beginning to surround the party. And you are aware of this since you are out and away from the specific group, but your party isn't necessarily able to see these things.
I caught a glimpse of the white one earlier, right?
Yes.
Would I be able to catch another glimpse and try to move closer to that one?
Sure. How'd you do on your stealth test? Was it like a great success or was it an
No,
extraordinary success?
I just barely succeeded. 14.
Okay. Let's do it. Then if you're trying to get up and you close in on her, you're going to have to probably do another test here. As you're shifting gears, and it's a little dangerous.
I'm rolling a lot of ones, but I think I still got it. I got 16 this time.
Okay.
16 over 14.
You start moving through the mud and the rock, and you get as close as maybe 10 feet away, and you take another step forward. You hear the crack of like lightning, and suddenly the whole area is lit. That just momentary glimpse, and you see there's like 8 or 10 different wolves that have surrounded this camp, and you can see the sort of the white furred one. The wetness of it is still there, but nonetheless you can tell her head whips around as if maybe she smelled you or heard you. You quickly duck down beneath this outcropping, this like jagged boulder sticking up out of the earth. And as you do, you see these red eyes just suddenly reflecting a bit of the lightning. And this big maw, you can see just like open teeth, just fangs ready to rip. And you are within 10 feet, but you don't think it saw you.
Unless other people want to do something, I'd be ready to attack it. I think Sorendir would be thinking that if we take out the matriarch, the rest of the pack might disperse.
I like this bold Sorendir.
He's not Erebon anymore. Is Erebon who is the
goblins changed him.
The goblins changed you. Yeah. Okay. You suddenly get your cloak and your. Okay. Here's what we'll do. We don't necessarily have to do full on initiative. What I will say is we'll treat this kind of like. Yeah, we'll just sort of we'll treat this again like we did we'll treat this more like a skill endeavor, we'll say. And everyone will do a task of some kind. And so let's paint the picture then. So Floy, you're standing shoulder to shoulder with the merchants out in front of the fire, out in front of the wagon. All of you have weapons up. Gilly, you're standing on top of the wagon. Okay, rain pouring down. You have a handful of arrows. You have them, kind of soaked and ready. Maybe your lantern's off to the side, ready to go. Aurinial, you've managed to set this ring of spikes around the wagon itself. You've got your new bow from your elvish friends ready to go as well. And Sorendir is not here. He abandoned you as he snuck into the shadows. So you all saw him kind of like sneak out into the shadows.
Yeah.
So there's a quietness for a moment. Like that lightning goes dark. And then you all kind of feel like a wind kick up, and then the rain almost goes horizontal and just like whacks you in the face. Floy, you're standing there kind of out in front of everybody else, and that's when you see suddenly movement. As first it's the reflection of the fire in the eyes of what looks like 4, 5, 6 wolves that are kind of coming in this fan in the direction of where you and these two humans are. Gilly, you see another couple, like looks like about 3 or 4 of them charging at the wagon. Sorendir, you see as this matriarch wolf begins to sort of circle around as if it's kind of letting all of the attention be drawn to like this huge pack of wolves that are now charging in at your compatriots. And it looks like that matriarch is like weaving around, like it's almost trying to sneak back around behind the wagon. And you're certain that Gilly and Auriniel haven't noticed it yet. What does everybody do?
I start swinging my axe around and just screaming at the wolves circling me. Be like, ha,
Okay,
ha!
Go ahead and roll an attack.
Wait, more of like an awe, sort of like intimidating. Unless they're already charging in and they're at me.
They are charging in. They're 100% charging in. If you're just trying to scare them away, you can do that too. But they are charging in mass.
And then I'll start swinging at them.
Okay, go right ahead and roll an attack.
$15, great success.
Okay.
Nice.
What's the damage on that?
That would be 14 damage.
14 damage. So you can see these 6 start coming in. One of them is coming right at you. Its eyes lock with you for a second. It's got this mottled, like matted, like brown and sort of gray fur. You can see its mouth hangs open. There's some sort of scar along its sort of cheek underneath the eye. And it's and you just stand there and you can see the other, like the people behind you. Are they backing up? Are you moving forward? And then at the last 5 feet as this thing's charging, it just coming at you. Its mouth wide open. You step off to the side and just kind of cleave it right across its underside. And you look back, and it slams to the ground on its side, scatters and skids across the wet rock, and comes to a rest just a couple feet from the fire. And you're pretty sure it's not moving. Gilly, you're up on the. We can do whatever order we want, but Gilly, you're up on the wagon. You see this happen. You probably have a better vantage point than Auriniel, who's on the ground. And you see this wolf, and you also notice as you look horrifically down, there's a couple that are coming at you. 2 of them seem to like get caught up in one of the spikes, and the spikes that Auriniel set around the wagon. But you can see this other one from a great distance is getting ready to leap, and you remember from your time up near Angmar, they can leap a significant distance.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
She's gonna shoot at that one that's leaping.
Okay, go right ahead.
Okay. Wonderful.
I don't like that word. Unless it's sarcastic.
No, I got a 17, so
17
I hit, but
will
I
hit.
didn't get any
Yeah.
extra 6s. So
What's the total
it just
damage?
does a total of 4 damage.
All right. You fire at this thing, and you hear as you get it, like in the shoulder, but it still leaps, and it still makes it up into the back of the wagon. And now you look over, there's this wet wolf. Okay, that black, completely blackened fur, these yellow eyes, as it scrambles about, like knocking these barrels left and right, and these different tarps. It's kind of getting caught up in all of the gear back here, but it kind of stands awkwardly. Its front left leg is kind of limp, but it kind of looks back at you.
And Gilly growls back at it.
Okay. Okay. What does that sound like?
So it sounds more like a yippy dog, but she's trying.
Okay. All right. Auriniel, you're at the base of this wagon. What do you want to do? As you just saw it kind of get assaulted. I want to hear that hobbit growl. You can work on it if you want.
Oh,
We'll
did
come
it
back
not
to
pick
you.
it up?
I didn't hear it.
Oh.
I think Stream might have heard it.
I didn't. Hear
Yeah, I did growl, but
it. All right. I'll listen back later. All right, Orinial, one of them is in the wagon now, like leapt up. You could hear that there are two on the ground. One of them, you can tell, has like almost impaled itself on one of the spikes you set. The other one, it looks like it's kind of gotten caught up in it, and it kind of interrupted its leap. And it's sort of like weaving around and trying to back up and get a more running start to hop into the wagon. What do you want to do?
Okay. If I can, I would quickly switch to sword because Gilly is my fellowship focus. And so I am going to be all about protecting her. Impressed by the growl.
Okay.
But know that she
Know
isn't
if it was
necessarily the
Okay.
melee type. So
Okay.
this is going to be a sword attack to it.
Okay.
That is
Do you hop up into the wagon to attack the one in the wagon, or do you take care of any of the ones that are on the ground with you?
No, I'm doing the one in the wagon. 100%.
Okay, so you hop up into the wagon, leaving these other here. Okay.
So I am well above where I need to. I'm not even going to do all of the math on that.
How
but I
do
don't
you
have any
know?
Extra successes.
These might have plus 15 to parry. You don't know. It's fine. They have plus.
Yeah, that's a 22.
What's the damage?
The damage, unfortunately, is only 3.
Okay, so you hop up, but in the process of hopping up, right? You kind of lunge out. You don't get as much leverage on the stab as you would otherwise because you're kind of trying to do it all at once, and you stab it in its back hindquarters as it's kind of closing in on Gilly as they're exchanging growls, and you stab it and you hear and it turns its head back and it stares at you, but it is not down. It is still fine. Okay, Sorendir. You hear the sounds of growls and shouts and everything coming. Some very confusing sounds, in fact, out over by the wagon and by your camp. The thunder is kind of crackling, and you can see that that large wolf is not running, but slowly, kind of very quietly, like a lion in a savanna, like moving closer and closer, like waiting for the kill shot. What do you want to do?
I'm lunging for it with my spear.
Okay, go ahead and take a bonus die because you did pass on your stealth before as you attack it. This does not have any bonus to parry, so it's whatever your normal TN is. Werewolf hobbit. A were-hobbit. Ah, there we go. half human, half hobbit. Your feet
That
just
is a
get really hairy.
success. And because I am using a keen great spear, it triggers a piercing blow.
Okay.
Awesome.
I will roll. Let's see. What's my target?
Injury 16.
Okay. I will burn a hate to get an extra die on this for my protection roll. Would you call me?
You also lose a hate when I hit you with my spear because of my
Okay.
gleam of wrath as an elf.
What did I have to hit? I rolled a 16.
16.
That too. I had 16 on the dot. And it was 1646. So, all right. And I lose a hate from you attacking it. I spent a hate. And how much was the total damage?
5 damage.
Okay. So you, as this thing is creeping up quietly, you just come up from behind the rock as it just moves past you, and you just thrust the great spear forward. The spear that Balavan has now given to you freely. And you just straight into the ribs of this thing, and it whirls on you. And you can feel your grip nearly fall. That's just the sheer force and power of this huge matriarch, this huge creature. It's bigger than these other wolves by far, and you almost lose your grip from the wetness and from the movement, but you manage to hold, and then eventually, like the spearhead pops out, and it turns towards you, the red eyes staring, and
As I lunged,
Yeah.
I was yelling in Elvish as well, Drigo, which means be gone.
Okay. I am now going to take a couple attacks. This wolf chieftain will target, this wolf matriarch, I should say, will target you. As it's your only target.
I mean, it could just turn and run. I think that'd be fair,
It
story-wise.
certainly could do this. It's certainly
That's an
not going to
option.
do this. Okay. Okay, that is a 10 on my D12, 14, 7. That's 20 on the dot. How was that?
19 parry.
Okay, so that hits you. It is a 10 on my die. No sixes to spend. Okay. Damage-wise, you're taking 4 points of damage from this bite. That's it. I don't have anything. I don't have any bonus die to spend. As it turns around, and as the spear kind of pops out of its side, and you nearly lose it. Like you have to quickly grab it and set your feet. Your foot slides ever so slightly, and you're not able to get the haft of the spear up in time to parry its bite as it just right on your arm as you're lifting your left arm to kind of balance against the blow, and you just feel the fangs rip into it, and you can't help but think back to like Asbjorn and like that blood and that kind of bloody patch. It's sort of the exact same bite. Okay.
How much
Floyd.
damage was that? I'm sorry.
4 points. It was just 4. I didn't have anything special. Okay. Australis, this game is not set in the same era. That we're set in between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. So that's kind of where we're at. We're like in that time period. And Ring of Power is Second Age. So we're like late Third Age, basically. Okay. Then around Floy, who is with your human compatriots. There's 5 of them now surrounding you. You've taken one out. 5 more are surrounding you. I'm not going to attack you with 5. That's insane. But I will just make one attack roll against you with a couple bonus die like we've been doing with my swarm things. Kind of go from there. As you specifically said, you're doing what you can to protect them. And so anytime a wolf is lunging, looks like it's going to get them, you kind of shoulder into it, or you swing your axe down, or you kind of kick some mud up into its face. That will be a 22, though. It's a good roll.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
All right. And there is I did get 1d6. I'll do a heavy blow. So it's going to be, I think, a total of 7 points of damage to you. As you just get in the middle of like where the wolf is coming, there's Alina, and like you can see Asker is like swinging away, like kind of knocking him. You hear as he manages to like catch the wolves on like their mullets. And you turn around, and just as one of these is about to sort of bite down into Alina as her head is turned, and she's swinging this frying pan down on one of them, you manage to just sort of slide her out of the way. You don't get a swing off. Instead, it just sinks its teeth right down into your shoulder. And then up on the wagon, there's basically 2 options. I'll 50-50 who it goes after. It's going to go after Gilly.
No.
Sorry, it's 50-50. Whoa, that's out of the box. Well, that's a miss. That's 2 ones. Okay. Gilly, it lunges after you, but it's like it's stumbling over top of the barrels. And
it's doing like whack-a-mole because Gilly's like going down like in behind a barrel.
Okay. So that will miss. And then we'll say it comes back to you all now. So Flo, you are now in the midst of it. You are surrounded. You and the two merchants are swinging away. Gilly and Eriniel, you're on top of this wagon. There's a wolf in here with you, and there's 2 more that are trying to climb up, but they're having trouble negotiating the spikes. One of them could easily get up on this turn. The other one is struggling. Sorendir, you're on a one-on-one with this matriarch. How do you want to handle this?
So I'm going to take the wolf that's grasped on my arm, pretty much lift it off its hind legs and slam it into another one.
That's amazing. If you want to roll athletics, you can just roll athletics for this.
Okay.
Again, we're treating this more like a skill endeavor than...
Yeah, 3 hits on that. Rolled 10, so I got an 18. It's a pass.
An 18. Okay. What is your strength score?
14? Or 6?
Okay. The big number, 14?
Yeah, the big number.
Your TN. So it'd be okay. So 20 minus 6, 14. So this thing just bit into your shoulder. You just take maybe you have a knife or something. You just jam it up and you use that to just lift up and just slam it down on this other. And you see like the back of this other wolf just crack. You can see it just splays down. Its legs kind of go off in different directions. As you can see, Alinea stumbles back from it. The one that you slammed down is probably the one that took the best of it as they kind of scramble around in the mud and get kind of caked and covered in it. But the one that you slammed it on top of, you can tell is like struggling now to move, and it's kind of like doing the last kind of death throes as it looks like you might have just collapsed its spine. Who's next?
Aurelial
Third
wants
H
to.
was a great time for WWE. That's funny. Remember when Floyd
Aurelial-
jumped out of the tree the one time
Yes.
too, from the top rope. So great. Okay.
All right, so this is going to be another short sword attack against
Okay.
this one up here.
Go for it,
And
please.
that is a it is a great success. So
Okay.
I rolled a 10, and I'm using
Okay.
a keen sword.
Oh, that'll pierce. Yeah. Describe your kill, because you're going to be able to kill it one way or the other, as this thing has
All right.
already taken a couple licks. So yeah, just describe it. How does it happen?
So it had kind of jumped up after Gilly, and Gilly kind of slid out of the way a little bit. So I think that kind of leaves it open for Aurelial to be able to just kind of take her sword and basically just kind of run this thing through.
Okay. And so you just, as it lunges at Gilly, you take that opportunity, and Gilly definitely steps out of the way. It stumbles a bit, thrust the sword in, pull it back out. Blood kind of spurts on some of the gear back here. There is a tarp, but the tarp has already fallen from the storm. And you turn and you can see that climbing up into the back of the wagon is another one of these that managed to sort of negotiate the spikes that you put into the ground. Only one, though, as it looks like you might have been able to take one out. One of them might have actually harmed itself. Gilly, you want to pick up on that then?
Yeah, so then Gilly will shoot at that one.
Okay, so it's climbing up the back. You're towards the front, sort of like the wagon seat. Aurelial is kind of off to still up here, off to the side. Maybe you yell duck. Aurelial ducks really quickly, and you let an arrow loose.
I do 4 damage. Nothing
Okay.
extra.
And so you catch it right as it's coming up. It took some damage already. You can tell it's already bleeding as it's kind of accidentally impaled itself. It doesn't quite fully take it out, but you can tell, like, once more there is now what is now like a gray-white wolf climbing up on top of here. And we'll kick it over then to Sorendir, who's in the 1v1 with the matriarch.
Yeah, I want to continue my dual thrusting with my spear.
Okay. Go right ahead. Again, no parry on this, so it's whatever your normal TN is. It's fine.
That is a great success.
Okay.
I had to do the math there. I thought it was a 1, but it was a 7.
All right. So
Nice.
what are you going to use the extra success on? What you going to use your bonus die on?
Let's just do extra damage.
Okay. What's the total then? So it's your normal
so-
weapon damage plus strength.
Yeah, 5 plus 6, 11.
11 points. Okay. Describe your kill, actually.
Oh,
Uh,
man.
Wow.
I don't want to do more harm to this creature than I have to.
Okay.
So I think after it like grabbed my arm and pulled me away, when it kind of turned with the I can't think of the right word now. As it was turning its head, I wanted to just thrust my spear back behind its leg and into its heart directly, just to try to kill it as quickly as possible with a clean blow.
And you find that kind of weak spot. You almost bypass the ribs in some way, or you kind of come underneath from behind, and you can hear it suddenly yelp out in this horrific pain. And it's like half howl, like half call. The rest of you hear this off in the darkness, and it just sounds painful. And all of a sudden, all of the wolves that are near you, like they perk up. You see a few of them that are like sloshing around in the mud, trying to stand back up. They suddenly turn, each one of them. And they all run in the direction of the sound.
Oh no, that was not the effect that was hoped for, I don't think.
Okay, Sorendir, you're standing, like you're pushing the body of this wolf off of, like, this large white wolf off the spear, and you suddenly hear and you look behind you, and you see that there's this small squad of wolves, much smaller than the one that you just fought, kind of charging at you. A few you can tell, look, their heads kind of look down, they look at you, and they look down, and they bolt away. I'm gonna see how many. One does not. You can see as they start to sort of spread out in the different distances, you can see the one that was perhaps, it's got an arrow sticking out of it. It's the one that was in the back of the wagon. It's kind of gray and white. It's got this sort of orangey colored eyes. It leans back, bares its teeth. You see this rotten gums, and then it just leaps and lunges at you.
Sorendir just looks exhausted. Like he put everything he had into this, and he looks up and sees another one lunging.
22 this time.
Oh, no.
Couple D6.
Yeah, that's a hit.
Yeah. This is gonna be. I'll just do heavy blows. 4 plus. What's 4 plus 3 is 10. 10 points of damage. As this thing, you whirl around. You see all of them scattering in different directions, and you maybe miss at the last second, leaping at you. This thing just tackles you to the ground. You fall. You feel this burden on your chest, and when you look up, you're kind of holding up your arms, and it's just ripping away and ripping away.
Don't forget, you can take knockback effect, which halves the damage.
That's true.
I'm not going to. I wasn't ready
Okay.
for it.
Okay.
So it just got me while my guard was down.
You can't get Steven to meta, man. He's just doesn't matter if it's in his favor.
I'm just throwing it out there,
It's like here's
sharing
this magical
ideas.
item, Steven. And Steven's like, no, let's let the NPC take it. That robbed us.
I'm already thinking how I can get rid of that necklace.
You
better
have to
not.
give it to
You
Ballad
better
Man.
not. You better not give it away. Okay. So, I'll say the rest of you kind of I assume you kind of go off listening. You kind of go off in the direction of where they're chasing you. Maybe you even hear the sounds of Sorendir suddenly surprise yelp in pain.
Oh yeah,
And-
Gilly
yeah.
goes.
You guys start running, and you see that he's on the ground, and he's got both of his arms over top of his head. There's this gray and white wolf arrow sticking out of one of its shoulders, and it's just chomping away at them. What did the three of you want to do in this situation?
So I have an idea, but the situation may have changed, so it may not work. What was it, kind of the distance from where the wagon was to where Sorendir is?
Away, it's at least 30, 40 feet.
Okay. All right. In that case, then I will.
Here we go. We got some merch idea in the chat. Sorendir chew toy for your animals. That's a good idea. Write that one down, Ashley. Whenever we get a merch store,
Where's my
we don't
pen?
have one, but whenever we do.
All right. Aureliel is just going to switch to her bow and see if she can shoot one of these in the back.
Okay. There's only one. There's just the one that stayed behind. The one bull that's trying to take over. It's the queen.
And that will be the one
The
that she will
matriarch
try
has
to
gone
shoot.
down. Yeah, go for it.
All right. So this is.
Sorendir rolling around. Bite, bite, bite. Blood squirting.
Yes, that is a success.
Okay.
With nothing extra, so that's just 3 points of damage.
All right, so Sorendir, you're kind of holding that mouth down, and you hear a and you can feel the shudder of the wolf as the arrow kind of lands into it, but it is not deterred, as that is not enough to. Floy, anything you want to do?
Instead of running to them, I'm gonna trust Gilly and Irinial and
Okay.
Sorendir to handle it. So I'll just
Okay.
stay by camp by the humans.
Stephen's
Boy!
face.
Make sure my job is being done.
We played
There's-
checkers. I thought we were friends.
The old hatreds of dwarves and elves. You get out of Forlon and suddenly you reverts. Okay. So you go around, you
Okay.
can see there's a couple carcasses on the ground that you and the humans are kind of ensuring that they're dead. Gilly, can you finish it off? This is a no. Eye of Sauron. The arrow hits Sorendir.
Okay, I make it exactly, and I have a bonus 6.
Okay. That is going to be enough damage. And so the second arrow, where do you hit it? What do you want to say, Gilly? Where would you say you'd aim?
Considering like she's running and then she just quickly stops and she just goes for like center mass.
Okay.
So either like shoulder, neck area.
Right in the side. And
Yeah.
so Sorendir, you heard and the first one, you can hear it you can feel it shudder, but it's still trying to bite you, and you're kind of holding up. Your arm is getting dug into once more, and then you hear a second one, and then it just collapses on top of you. The weight of the full wolf. The rain still.
You smell
pelting.
the oil. I didn't light it though.
Yeah, you can still. Yeah, you can smell some of that. You can feel like warm blood beginning to kind of coat your chest.
And you all
wolves have
just
been
hear a coming from underneath this wolf.
You all take stock. It's still pouring rain. You look around. You see there's a handful of these wolves, some of which were not yet, fully taken out. But Floyd and the merchants are kind of mercy killing a few. But probably about half of the pack survived and ran off. But you can see all these animals. Rain continues through the night. Anything you all do and sort of...
Yeah. As a warden, I have shadow lore where I can kind of recognize the thread of the shadow throughout the land. Would I think that these wolves are tainted by that shadow, or do they just seem to be the pinnacle of their species?
It's interesting. This is your heritage.
It's a distinctive feature
for your calling.
For being a warden. Like, I don't know if I have to spend a hope to use that because I'm not really making a skill check. I'm just curious if I would. Do these wolves seem evil, or they were just being wolves?
So it's hard to be entirely sure, but you could very easily conclude that there is plentiful game in the forest to the north, far easier to kill than a pack of travelers along a coastal road with a wagon, with weapons, with fire. Wolves are not, they have a natural fear of fire, and they charged in on your camp, unconcerned with it. So I would say, Sorendir, you would probably start leaning towards the latter, that these are something else was driving them, perhaps. Something, the shadow has wrapped itself around them in some way.
Okay. I think then I'd like to pile up the wolves that are dead. And I know it's still raining, but in the morning when the weather clears up, or the next day, I think I'd like to have a pyre to burn the bodies.
Okay. The next morning, is anyone else doing anything before
I'd like to
kind of
salvage
shift?
any pelts or furs if possible.
You absolutely could do that. Yeah. You can go through, and I would say the merchants are thinking the exact same thing. Like, they're waste not, want not. And so they're doing what they can. Not in a disgustingly crude way, but just in a, it's a medieval type setting. This is just par for the course, and these furs can potentially...
and we're heading north.
Yeah. So, obviously you would need to take care of them. You don't want to just carry around a bag full of soaking wet, which I think we've actually done already in this campaign.
Yes.
Now that I say
have
that
done
out
it.
loud, that sounds vaguely
Yes.
familiar.
Yeah.
But sure, we'll say that you can do that. But Sorendir, the next day comes, and the rain has momentarily stopped. But you can see that, as for the last couple of days, you haven't recalled seeing the sun in the sky. It's just been overcast for at least 3 days now, and it culminated in this horrible storm at night. And you're starting to notice that the sky itself, the clouds are kind of whirling around in ways almost like these funnel cloud dips over the water to the south. You can actually, you would think you would be able to see the Grey Havens with how close you are to it. You're within a day, and if on a good day you might be able to see the port itself, where the river Loon meets the Gulf of Loon. but you don't. And you take advantage of the fact that it's at least not raining currently, and you build up the pyre, kind of add to the fire, and all of these carcasses you take to burning them. Everyone go ahead and take 2 fatigue as the result of the travel encounter. And Aurinial, I will need a new travel roll from you.
Alrighty.
Did we get a prolonged rest?
Oh, back when you were in Forlond, yeah.
Did
Yes,
we get a
that's-
short rest just now?
Technically, journeys no, but we're kind of halving it. I'll say you could take a half. Yeah, take a half a night. Journeys are a little
Because,
different.
as an elf, a short rest counts as a prolonged rest. So
Well, never mind then. It was a really rough night. Lots of thunderstorming. Your fatigue doesn't go away. But if you're
I'm thinking endurance.
recuperating- Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but your fatigue is the travel fatigue that's going to kick up. Okay. Tell me how you do, Aurinial. on
I
your
took some
travel
big
test.
hits.
Yes, you did. Aurinial passed. I got exactly what I needed, a 14.
Okay. All right. So after a couple hours in the morning, taking care of breaking down camp, repairing some stuff that was broken, kind of going through the back of the wagon that was the source of one of the battlegrounds, cleaning up, refixing the canvas covering. You all get back on on the road, so to speak, and you continue traveling. Now, I know that Sorondir is trying to avoid Mythland. Is that correct? Like you don't want to go near Mythland in the Grey Haven.
Well, I
You're
mean,
doing your best.
we just got this trip started. Do we really want to take a break and stop? Like you should have gone to the bathroom before we left. Let's just keep going. And
Aurinial was actually going to, sort of have a conversation because our human companions had traveled up this way already. And so we're looking for a bridge or somewhere that they can kind of span this river. And so that was sort of trying to kind of gather some information potentially about like a safe place for the wagon to cross. Because I'm assuming that's where they crossed on the journey into Forlond.
Okay. They would tell you that they took a relatively that they actually went to kind of northward a bit. They didn't actually go through the Grey Havens themselves. Like they were kind of tasked with sort of potentially traveling westward some more. And you also would know that the Grey Havens are not necessarily a place where like it's a very revered location, whereas like we're treating Forlond more as like an open city.
Mm-hmm.
The Grey Havens themselves would be a little bit more. So what are you looking to get from them?
More of just kind of where that bridge was, because obviously if we're traveling with their wagon across the water, we're looking for a bridge. So if they went west on a bridge, let's go
very
east
close
on the
to
same
the
bridge.
city. Very close to the city of Grey Havens and Mythlon. Yes, extraordinarily close. They didn't stop. They weren't invited to stay. They were treated nicely enough, but they were hurried along.
I
If that
think
makes
maybe
sense.
we would do the same then. Like we'll just cross the bridge but keep going.
Okay. Go ahead and roll an awareness test, Gilly, as I did get lookout once more.
Got it. Gandalf, but no extra 6s, but I do pass.
I feel like you guys never fail rolls anymore. We gotta figure out a change to that.
That's not true. I failed my first one.
I could
Okay.
show you. I'll take a picture if you want it.
No. I believe you. I'm just saying you guys have gotten so powerful. We have to
I
start
think it's the
retiring these
physical
characters.
dice.
Okay. All right. Friends at Norse Foundry are giving out overpowered dice.
They've charged it. You know?
NorseFoundry.com for all your
They're like,
overpowered
here's
dice
the,
needs. To
here's the good
paraphrase it.
juju.
Yeah.
use
Okay.
the code Lolly.
Okay, so okay. Travel for the next couple of days. is free from any sort of significant dangers. You don't see any lingering wolves, but you do get very close to Mythland. You get up into the hills that kind of trail down from the southern parts of the Blue Mountains. Floy, you can look off to the north, and you know that just a few peaks away, it's the Halls of Harmelt, where all of you had spent time before. And you're getting Sorendir. You can see, like, just over the ridge. There are the domes and the towers, the spires of Mythland. On the other side of the water of the Loon, you can see the Grey Havens. It's built up on both sides of the river. And you know that there are multiple paths across. Obviously, you can just try to traverse the city itself. And honestly, with Sorendir leading, it might actually be possible. But if Sorendir doesn't want that to happen, you venture a little bit further north.
He does not.
You do, in fact, see the bridge with which your human companions traveled over when they were kind of venturing out here. But you also notice that it is not an empty bridge. You can see that there are many an elf that seem to be on top of it, looking out over the river to the north. As the Loon ventures northward, you can see others that are sitting along the edge and kind of in meditation poses. Others that seem to be kind of sketching and drawing. Some seem to be affixing some kind of repairs to the bridge itself. So I'll ask again, how close do you want to get? Sorendir?
Aurenia will kind of go over to Sorendir and just say, we have the wagon to concern ourselves with. We have a bridge. A bridge is the easiest way across a body of water.
As long as we stay out of the city proper.
Understood.
I will say, Sorendir, you know there's no way that you're getting across this bridge without attracting attention. There's no way it's happening.
I got my little necklace on now. I'll keep my eyes down and try not to make eye contact. And
if there's something we should know, you should probably tell us.
He's wanted for murder here. Okay.
No, I just nothing to know that you don't already know.
Then it shouldn't be a problem. We're just passing by.
The wounds may run deeper here than they did in Forlond.
Okay.
Okay.
You travel up to the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
You see the cities expanding out before you. You don't get even onto the bridge itself before you hear, "Hold." And you see, stepping out from behind this beautiful pillar, is an elf. Robes that seem to go all the way down to their, kind of obscuring their feet. They have some sort of tunic or breastplate, you're not sure. It looks like just heavy fabric, not metal. They have affixed on their side what looks like some kind of weapon, some sort of curved blade as they step out from behind. "Hold there, travelers. Who is it who wishes to cross the River Loon? And what business do you have in the eastern lands?"
Some of us live in the east. My party and I. Just quick introduction. Just wish to pass.
So the elf sort of looks around, this dark-haired elf. Very dark, almost fully black-haired elf. Very pale. They have some sort of rim around their forehead. And he says,
I am familiar with some of the faces in this party. Merchants you have crossed before, some months ago. But you were greater in number, or rather I should say, you are now greater in number. There was another in your party. What has become of him? You can see, like, Alexer and Elena, kind of being very humble and so,
Master Elfie we were beset by goblins en route to Forland, and the elves of Forland were very friendly, and they took us in and they helped us, but unfortunately our guard friend was succumbed to goblin poison.
I am saddened to hear this. You are once more free to pass over.
Thank you, Mr. Elf.
Kind of turns over, kind of cocks their head at Gilly.
Child of the hobbits. It is
Yes.
normally we who cross through your home, and not you through ours. Curious to find you here.
I'm a hobbit of Bree.
Ah, we are aware of this place. It is a far distant shadow of what men of the north were once capable of building. I have traveled through the Shire on more than one occasion. Do you not hail from there?
I still have some family there, but my parents moved to Bree.
You see, like, genuine, like, sort of shock. As much as shock could show up on an elvish, serene face comes up.
I've been born and raised, first generation.
There are many reasons one might find reason to move, to uproot oneself. But why would you leave the joviality of the Shire for such a filthy, squalorous place such as Bree?
Well, my mom always said that she could help make it better. And my dad was more than willing to help. And now I've taken up it as well. And we've been traveling to help protect everyone that we come across. And then she kind of like gestures to the merchants.
Okay, sorry, I just saw party
weed.
wipes. It's just
So much weed.
I don't want to. Yeah, that was, oh my god, that's so funny. That'd be funny if you said that, but you didn't. Okay.
Well, mighty hobbit, I feel safer in my home already, just with your presence here. You too are welcome to pass.
Thank you.
Turns towards Auriniel.
A ranger of the north. Is this place too civilized for your kind? Should you be not in the wild to the north, in the lone lands with your people?
In fact, that is, in some ways, the direction that I am headed.
You are traveling northward. Have you news of the north?
Nothing that bears good tidings.
We have heard a great many troubling rumor.
I would say we would likely confirm those rumors.
The
What
lord
have
of
you
this
heard?
place, Curden, has been very troubled. Very troubled indeed. I will not presume to divulge more than this. Something masses in the mountains northward, in the wastes. And you come across our bridge, Ranger. A hobbit. And a dwarf. And then the head kind of whips over towards Sorendir. And you. Looks you up and down. High or low? High or low, Steven?
Always go low.
And you, Sorandir. You are a face we have not seen in quite some time. Kind of
Apologies. We're just trying to cross the bridge.
eyes look down at your necklace. You have rekindled your relationship with Forlond. Perhaps not all is dark. Curious. I have heard a rumor that Sorendir went by another name. Erebon is the name
That is true.
that came off the lips of a friend, a very wounded, dying friend.
How
who
is she?
said- Well, you can see he gets very grave. Kind of eyes drift off west. She is beyond my sight. She has passed. Before she did, she said she saw the face of one who was once one of us, but chose the selfish path and fled. I think it might be you that she saw, for it is this Erebon that she spoke. One of her final words to me. Was this you? Or was it delirium?
It was us. We found her to the north, and we sent her here for help.
You
I'm sorry it was not quick enough.
sent her here. You did not.
I couldn't heal her.
Hobbit, please. Quiet. You encountered one of us who needed your help. And you sent dirty human villagers instead of coming yourself. Did you not want the task to be successful?
I tried to account for what she would wish for, and I thought that it would not be to have me around.
What she would have wanted would be to live into fair times. But you denied her that. You thought your own comfort was worth more than her life. You are no friend. You
are a coward. And I name you such.
I apologize. I should not have come. The rest of you, if you would let my companions pass, I will leave.
I do not fault them for your deeds and inaction. I do not hold them to the same standard that I set for our kind. Wisdom flows through your veins, and you choose to ignore it, concerned more for your personal comfort and embarrassment. And one of ours is dead because of it. And more still, who did not return with her, nor did answers. We do not know why. Mendia has fallen. Who is responsible? Nor do we know what befell the others who were sent with her on her task. These are whole things that we could know if you would have been true to your people.
At this point, Aurinial has kind of slowly been standing a little taller and taller, especially as this elf like shushed Gilly, and just watching, kind of knowing that Sorendir is not going to stand up for himself. And at that point, Aurinial will just sort of step forward, just say,
You step forward? You take a step forward, and
if I see that happen, I would place a hand.
Drawn, 2 more people come out from the sides. Sorendir, you reach out.
Gentle hand
Diffuse
on
the
her arm.
moment. Go ahead, Aurinial.
mean to connect 2 conversations that we have had this day. You and I spoke that there are dangers and darkness and many rumors that you have heard from the north. And this group of travelers has been spanning these areas, taking up these fights for all of our kind. And I did not ask you for details of the rumors you have heard, but I confirmed that there are many, many evils afoot. And I do not speak as if I understand your ways, but I must say, for my companion, that he has needed to be focused on our tasks for the good of all of our peoples. We are seeking access to your bridge, and we will leave as soon as we have reached the other side.
Roll a persuade test. I was about to they were gonna whip out some weapons. You see the might of the elves.
So not good at persuade. Okay, I am taking the last d6 that we've got.
You heard it, everybody.
Goodness.
That's the last one.
No more.
There are no.
There's
so
another
suddenly
last
it's like,
one.
I'm gonna take one. I'm taking another. There's another last
Mel
one. This is the
spent all
other
7
last one.
today.
Yes. Thank you for pointing out my selfishness, Ashley.
Just teasing you.
This is Aurinial's worst thing. She needs a 17.
I
She's
know.
got 1 tick in persuade.
Oh, no.
Before you say anything, you gotta let other people speak up and say stuff. Is anybody trying to help with this?
Sorendir's ready to turn and walk back the way he came.
I know.
I can add a little quip,
A little quip.
No joke. 2 elves walk into a bar.
Knock,
No,
knock.
just like
Who's there? A dwarf and an elf on a bridge. Good.
Go ahead.
we've been tasked by Lady Artorius,
Or Tolo.
a very urgent task, and we must pass. You were impeding.
You're impeding. Okay.
Gilly would have just offered, did you not receive my note? Because she had sent a note along with him with all the information that we knew.
Yeah, I don't think that would help.
Yeah.
Like, you sent a note, you didn't
Yeah.
come yourselves. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
kind of boils down to that. Okay. So Floy brought up later Artolos actually, and at your task
Yeah, that was
force. That
smart.
actually is pretty helpful. So go ahead and you can add a d6 to your roll.
All right. No.
Okay.
No. That's a 14 under 17.
Okay. You see a very kind of pompous snarl kind of come over the elvish face as the bit of the elven serenity sort of dissipates, and they say, "It is a dark fate for Middle-earth when this one here is tasked with anything of import. They have shown time and again that they will not do what needs to be done. I pity you, Ranger, for you have put your faith in a coward, one who has betrayed his own kind, and it is only a time before he will betray you." Good.
I'll softly turn to Reniel and whisper in her ear, "Find you on the far side," and I'll begin to walk away, back the way we came.
You will not find him. He has departed you for good. He has abandoned you the way he abandoned his people more than 1,000 years ago. The way he abandoned Mendia when she needed his aid. The task that Lady Ortolos has set before you, you must complete yourselves. And to be honest, you are far more capable of completing that task now that he has departed your company. You may pass. You may pass. Do not press it further, Ranger.
Understood. And just through gritted teeth, she's just going to say, "We appreciate your hospitality." And she'll step back.
And so we see as the camera kind of like backs away, we get the glory that is Mithlond. You see the rushing river of the Loon. You traversing over top of this high arching bridge. The wagons sort of struggling. We see like these birds kind of weaving in. We see thunderstorms in the distance. You all get across, and we see the lone elf Sorandir venturing northward along the river by himself as a gulf of water sits between himself and the other side. And we'll pick up there next time.
No.
He wouldn't have talked to me more, would he? He was too pissed off, you think?
So there's
Yeah, I think Iridial kind of
Okay,
push
that's
push
fair.
the luck.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I just elves, while some of them are kind, I mean all of them to some degree I think are kind, at least the way I'm playing them. Like there's a limit to like there's going to be condescension. Like they're so much older. Even the young ones are like the Soren Deer is young by like comparison to like Ortolos or Galadriel or Elrond or something like that who go back ages, you know. And like Soren Deer is like 1,000 years old or something like that, and so far surpasses like your age. There's a point to which their patience will go, and I mean, you guys made a decision like a couple months back to not take Mendir yourselves, and to send these.
No, that was fair. Yeah,
Escardalians, and this is the moment where it sort of come home to roost. And Steve will make a new character, as Sorendir will probably die on his own, and
or he's just so browbeaten that he doesn't even show up.
I like how I saw the
goes
chat.
back to Linden.
You're like, Jeff's been so nice to me, da 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 da. And I'm just like, just wait until you get close. You guys said you're getting close. You drew it and everything. Like if
I knew the Grey Havens would not be as good as Forlond. It wasn't
going to be good for you. Yeah.
And
it was mainly because of that. Like I think if not for the
Yeah.
Mendir thing, like the combination of Mendir and then like Sorendir in your party is probably what pushed it over the edge. I think if it was just Sorendir and you guys had done right by Mendir, then you probably would have been okay. But those combinations of things, yeah.
And I think Aurelial like has kind of like heard like Erebon for so long saying like this is gonna be bad, and then like we got to Forlond and it wasn't really all that bad. So I think like Aurelial was kind of like, I mean, you said that was gonna be bad, and it was like, not a huge deal. So definitely underestimated just what this was going to look like for.
Yeah, it's definitely fair. Okay, why don't we do a little closing stuff? Steven, tell us about the game you're running soonish.
Yeah, on Tuesday the 20th, Haunted West. Supernatural, Weird West. Should be a lot of fun. We got a great cast and crew. You'll see a few familiar faces, a few new faces. It's going to be a lot of fun. Super excited for it.
Very excited. It's going to be fun.
Me too.
Right here on this channel. Let's see what else we got. In a little bit, about an hour and a half, Steve and I got another game tonight. As I got to go, I'm running some Heart over on Grim and Perilous Plays. So you can catch us there. See, tomorrow night I'm on Steam Still Murder playing some Shadowrun. Monday we'll be back here on this channel as we are playing on our own channel here, playing Hala for Savage Worlds. And we'll be back in a week with more One Ring. So come check that out. And thank you to those of you who raided. Hopefully you go ahead and hit the follow button, that kind of stuff. You can also check out our library of content as we've been playing various actual plays for a couple years now. Adventures in Lollygagging over on YouTube. We've got lots of stuff. Also, if you are looking to catch up on One Ring, there's a couple different ways to do it. You can catch our old YouTube catalog, but also we've been starting to release them in audio-only podcast format. So if you search wherever you get your podcast for Waking of Angmar, you should be able to find us there. Thank you to everyone who hung out. I saw Zoro threw some bits at us at the end there to help refill the tank, which has gone perilously dry. But thank you so much for everyone hanging out tonight. And Orcus Balter TV, thank you so much for the raid. We really do appreciate it. And everyone else have a great night. We'll pay it forward. We're going to go ahead and raid as well as let's raid. Let's see. We could do, how about we do, you guys in the mood for some Cyberpunk? Let's do Cybernation, as it looks like they're playing, I think it's Cyberpunk Red. So let's go ahead and give them a raid. We'll pay it forward, and we'll see you all next time. So, bye-bye.